Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we're diving into the world of rare and valuable coins. In this video, we're revealing the top 3 most valuable Washington quarter dollar coins. These aren't just spare change, they're treasures worth thousands of dollars. Let's get right into it. We're diving deep into the 1985 Washington quarter. Yes, that's right. This seemingly ordinary coin could be worth a surprising amount of money. Stick around because we're covering everything from the coin's background, errors, grading, collector demand, and what it might be worth today. Let's start with the basics. The 1985 Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia, which means it has the P mint mark. It was struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. No silver in this one, but don't let that fool you. Even clad coins can be worth a fortune depending on their condition and rarity. In 1985 alone, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 775 million of these coins. That's a massive number. So why are collectors so interested in this specific year and mint mark? Well, it comes down to quality, rarity, and unique errors. Most of these coins were mass-produced for circulation and didn't receive the highest quality control. So finding one in pristine condition is actually much harder than you'd think. Coins that have never been used, known as mint state coins, especially those graded MS66 or higher, are incredibly rare for this year. That's where the big money comes in. Before we talk values, let's talk design. The obverse features the classic portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. It's been on the quarter since 1932. The reverse shows the heraldic eagle with wings spread, clutching a bundle of arrows and olive branches beneath it. It's a timeless design, but subtle details can set one coin apart from the next. Now, let's dig into what makes the 1985 quarter stand out. First, condition is everything. A regular circulated 1985 quarter is worth face value 25 cents. That's it. But if you happen to find one in uncirculated condition, especially in high grades like MS65, MS66, or even MS67, then we're talking real money. A 1985 Washington quarter graded MS67 by a top grading company like PCGS or NGC can sell for hundreds or even over $1,000 depending on the market. That's right. $1,000 quarter from 1985. And then there are the errors. This is where things get really exciting. Collectors pay big bucks for unique and rare minting mistakes. These include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. One popular error is the double die obverse where the details like the date or the word liberty show noticeable doubling. These kinds of errors make your quarter instantly more valuable. Another known error in 1985 quarters is the misaligned die. This happens when the obverse and reverse dies aren't properly aligned, causing part of the design to be struck off-center. While not as dramatic as a full off-center error, a misaligned die can still increase the coin's value significantly. Here's a tip if you're coin hunting. Always look closely at the rim. Weak strikes and die wear can make a coin look odd, but some of those oddities are actually valuable errors. A 1985 quarter with a full strike, strong luster, and zero contact marks is exactly what collectors dream of. Now let's talk about current market value. As of today, a circulated 1985 quarter without errors is still worth 25 cents. But an uncirculated example in MS65 could go for $15 to $30. Step up to MS66 and you're looking at $50 to $100. An MS67 might sell for anywhere from $300 to $1,000 or more, depending on the auction and the buyer. If you happen to own one of these in a certified holder from a reputable grading company, hang on to it or consider auctioning it through platforms like Heritage Auctions or Great Collections. These sites often bring in serious collectors willing to pay a premium for top-condition coins. Let's not forget about the coin roll hunters out there. Some people are finding high-grade examples in bank rolls. That's right. You could potentially score big by searching through sealed rolls of quarters from the bank. It takes time, but those who are patient sometimes walk away with rare gems. To wrap it all up, the 1985 Washington quarter might seem common, but don't underestimate it. High-grade examples and rare mint errors can make this coin worth serious money. If you have a few quarters lying around, take a closer look. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. A $1,000 coin could be sitting in your change jar right now. We are diving deep into the story of the 1998 P. Washington $quarter coin. This is not just any pocket change. Some of these coins could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars if you know what to look for. So if you've got a 1998 quarter lying around, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Stay tuned because we are breaking down the history, key features, rare varieties, mint errors, collector demand, and the current market value of this seemingly ordinary coin. Let's start with a little history. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932, originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It quickly became a permanent fixture of U.S. coinage. By 1998, the Washington quarter had become one of the most recognized coins in America. But here's the twist. The 1998 quarter marked the very end of an era. It was the final year of the original eagle reverse design before the U.S. Mint launched the wildly popular state quarters program in 1999. This makes the 1998 issues, especially the 1998 P quarters from the Philadelphia Mint, historically significant to collectors. Now let's talk numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 896 million of these coins in 1998. That's a huge mintage. So at first glance, it might not seem like anything special. But here's where things get interesting. Even though there are millions out there, condition and variety are everything. If you've got a 1998 P quarter in average circulated condition, it's worth just face value, 25 cents. But start looking into high-grade examples or rare error coins and the value can climb dramatically. Let's break down the grading scale. Coins are graded from poor 1 to mint state 70. A 1998 P Washington quarter in uncirculated condition, say mint state 65 or higher, can sell for anywhere from $5 to $15. That might not sound like much, but it gets better. If you have a coin graded MS67, which is quite a high grade, prices jump significantly. These coins can bring in up to $100 or more at auction. But if you hit the jackpot with a certified MS68 or higher, you are looking at $300 to even $1,000 depending on appeal and demand. And remember, higher grade examples are rare because these coins were made for circulation and most have been handled and worn down over time. Now let's talk about what really makes the 1998 P quarter valuable. Errors and varieties. This is where the big money lies. Some of the most valuable 1998 P quarters are those with dramatic mint errors. Let me give you some examples. There's the off-center strike error. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in part of the design being missing or off to the side. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, these errors can fetch anywhere from $50 to $200. Then there's the double die obverse. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a doubled image. In the case of the 1998 P quarter, there are reported examples where the word Liberty or the date 1998 appears doubled. These can be worth $50, $100, or even more depending on the clarity of the doubling. Another highly collectible error is the clipped planchet. That's when a portion of the coin's metal is missing due to an error during the blank cutting stage. Prices for clipped planchet errors vary, but a 1998 P quarter with a nice clean clip can sell for $50 to $150. Now here's the rarest and most mysterious type of value booster. Transitional errors. These occur when a coin is mistakenly struck using a design or metal composition from a different year. While there are no confirmed transitional errors for the 1998 P quarter, collectors always keep a lookout. Because if one were to surface, it would be worth thousands instantly. Let's shift gears and look at the current market. As of mid-2025, the coin market is strong, and interest in late 90s coins is growing, especially those with ties to major design shifts. Since 1998 is the last year of the classic eagle reverse, collectors are now going back to complete their sets. Prices for high-grade coins and error examples are rising. Auction sites like eBay, Heritage Auctions, and great collections have seen 1998 P quarters with errors or MS68 grades sell for several $100s. So yes, these coins are moving, and serious collectors are paying serious money. So how do you know if your 1998 P quarter is valuable? Here's what to do. First, check the mint mark. It should be AP on the obverse, right next to Washington's ponytail. Next, inspect the condition. Does it have any shine or luster left? Is it free of scratches and nicks? If so, it might be worth grading. Third, look closely for any doubling, off-center designs, missing edges, or strange shapes. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. And finally, consider having your coin certified by a reputable grading company like PCGS or NGC. A certified high-grade error coin carries way more value and is much easier to sell at premium prices. Before we wrap up, here's a quick checklist. If your 1998 P quarter is in circulated condition, it's worth face value. If it's uncirculated and clean, it could be worth $5 to $15. If it's graded MS67 or higher, it could sell for $50 to $100 or more. If it has a rare error, you could be looking at hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So don't ignore your spare change. That old 1998 P quarter in your junk drawer might just be a hidden gem. Check your coins, do your research, and keep collecting. Because in the world of coins, knowledge really is power, and history can literally be in your hands. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on valuable coins, rare finds, and how to turn your pocket change into real change. See you next time. Let's talk about a coin that might be sitting in your change jar right now. It looks ordinary to most people, but some versions of it are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. I'm talking about the 2021 P Washington $quarter coin. If you've got one, you might want to take a closer look, because it could be worth a small fortune. Now, before we dive into the value, let's rewind a little and talk about the history behind this coin. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932. Originally introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin has gone through several design changes over the decades. But in 2021, something special happened. The 2021 P quarter comes from the Philadelphia Mint. That's what the P stands for. And it was the final year of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which began in 2010. Each of those quarters honored a different national park or historical site. But in 2021, the design featured a new and powerful image, General George Washington crossing the Delaware River. This design was a return to classic American history. It captures the moment Washington led troops across the icy river on the night of December 25, 1776. The reverse side of the coin shows Washington standing boldly at the front of a boat, while the obverse side continues to use the familiar portrait by John Flanagan. But here's where things get really interesting. Not all 2021 quarters are the same. And some are worth a lot more than face value. Let's talk about errors. Error coins are a hot topic among collectors. They're mistakes made during the minting process, but instead of being worthless, these mistakes often make the coins more valuable. And the 2021 P Washington quarter has its fair share of famous errors. One of the most sought after is the die clash error, where the coin shows ghost-like images from the opposite die pressed into the coin's surface. Another popular one is the cut error, which shows a raised lump of metal usually at the rim due to a broken die. These aren't just tiny mistakes, they can dramatically increase a coin's value. Some of these 2021 quarters with cut errors have sold for over $100 online, and a strong die clash can go for $200 or more. Then there's the off-center strike error, when the design is not aligned properly and part of the image is missing. These can fetch anywhere from $50 to $500 depending on the severity of the error. Now let's talk about condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the better the condition, and the higher the value. A 2021 P quarter in circulation might only be worth face value. But a perfect mint state example, graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can bring in serious money. In fact, as of now, a 2021 P Washington quarter graded MS-67 has sold for up to $500 at auction. And those are just the regular coins, not even counting error varieties. If you have a top-grade error coin, you could be looking at even more. So what's the current market value of the 2021 P Washington quarter? For circulated coins without any errors, it's usually just 25 cents. But in uncirculated or mint state condition, they can go for $1 to $5 a piece. Add a rare error, and you're looking at $50 to $300, sometimes more, but the key is condition and rarity. If you've got a coin that's pristine and has a unique error, don't spend it. Get it evaluated by a professional. And if you think you might have a rare version, compare it to recent sales on platforms like eBay, Heritage Auctions, or PCGS Auction Records. Let's summarize it simply. The 2021 P Washington quarter is not just pocket change. It's a piece of history. And in some cases, it's a payday waiting to happen. From stunning designs to rare mint errors and valuable high-grade examples, this coin has it all. So check your pockets. Check your drawers. You never know, that everyday quarter might just be a hidden gem. Welcome back to the channel everyone, and if you're new here make sure to subscribe because today we're diving deep into a fascinating coin that's sitting in drawers, jars, and collections across the country and might be worth way more than you think. We're talking about the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny. Yes, that small brown coin you might overlook could actually be worth a surprising amount of money. We're going to explore its origin, its production, the different variations that exist, and most importantly how much it could be worth today in the current coin collecting market. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, and it was the first time a real historical figure appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. The reverse featured two wheat stalks which gave it the nickname wheat penny. By 1937 the design had already been circulating for almost 3 decades. That year the United States Mint produced the Lincoln wheat penny at 3 different facilities. Philadelphia, which did not use a mint mark, Denver, which used the letter D, and San Francisco, which used the letter S. Each mint produced a different number of coins and some are much rarer than others. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 309 million coins in 1937. Denver produced just over 50 million. And the San Francisco Mint created about 34.5 million. So based on those numbers the San Francisco and Denver coins are rarer than the Philadelphia ones, but rarity is just one piece of the puzzle. What makes certain 1937 pennies worth more is their condition, any errors during production, and whether they have been preserved in mint state or proof-like condition. Now let's talk about value. In average circulated condition the 1937 penny from Philadelphia is usually worth around 5 to 20 cents. Yes, that's not much more than face value, but if the coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition it can be worth significantly more. For example, a 1937 Philadelphia penny graded MS-65 read by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC can sell for around $30 to $50. If it's MS-67 read you might be looking at $150 or more. And if you have one in near perfect MS-68 condition prices can exceed $250 or even $500 depending on the collector market, but the big money comes with rare errors and ultra high-grade coins. Let's go over some known varieties and errors. One of the most famous errors for 1937 pennies is the double die obverse. That means during the minting process the design was accidentally struck more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubling effect on the date or the letters "In Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If you have a 1937 double die penny even in circulated condition it can be worth hundreds of dollars. In mint state the price jumps dramatically. There are reports of some MS-65 examples fetching over $1,000 at auction. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. That's when the coin is not properly aligned during minting and part of the design is missing or shifted. The more off-center the strike the more it's typically worth, especially if the date is still fully visible. Some 1937 off-center Lincoln cents can bring in anywhere from $50 to $300 depending on the percentage of the error and the condition of the coin. There's also the broad strike error, which causes the coin to look stretched or misshapen because it was struck without the proper collar. These errors aren't extremely common, but when found in high grade they can add decent value to the coin. Let's also take a moment to highlight the San Francisco and Denver issues. The 1937 Lincoln penny is more sought after in high grades because of its lower mintage. In MS65 red condition it can be worth about $60 to $80. In MS67 red the value can soar to $300 or more. In fact, some of the highest auction prices for the 1937 penny have crossed $800 when certified by major grading companies in nearly flawless condition. Now the Denver issue is a little more common than the San Francisco, but still worth watching. A 1937 penny in MS65 red is worth about $40 to $60. In MS67 red condition collectors have paid over $250. The market continues to shift, so prices do fluctuate, but rare high-grade coins always hold strong value. So how do you know if your 1937 penny is valuable? First, check the mint mark. If there's no mint mark, you've got the Philadelphia version. If there's a small D or S below the date, that tells you it came from Denver or San Francisco. Next, check the condition. If your penny is shiny and has no signs of wear, it could be uncirculated and worth getting graded. Look for any doubling on the letters or numbers and check for off-center or strange shapes. And of course, if you think you have a rare or valuable coin, it's always best to get it authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service. Let's also talk about color. Lincoln cents are classified by color when graded. You'll see designations like brown, or red. Red coins are the most valuable because they've retained their original mint luster and haven't oxidized. Red examples in MS66 and MS67 condition are highly prized by collectors and investors alike. In the current coin market, especially in 2025, collectors are paying premium prices for certified red Lincoln cents from the 1930s because of their historic appeal and relative scarcity in top condition. If you've got a roll of wheat pennies sitting in your house, it's worth checking because 1937 is one of the more collectible dates, and it's common enough that people often find them, but rare enough in high grade that they command a real price. In summary, the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny may not look like much, but it's got history, variety, and value that makes it one of the more interesting small coins to collect. Whether you have the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco issue, it's worth looking closely at the details. Condition, color, and mint errors are the keys to unlocking the hidden value in what might just be sitting in your spare change jar. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and you never know, you might be holding onto a little piece of history that's worth a lot more than 1 cent. We are diving deep into one of the most intriguing coins in American numismatic history, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny. This tiny piece of copper may look ordinary, but some versions of it are worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars today. So sit back and let us take you on a journey through time and value as we explore everything you need to know about the 1944 wheat penny. First, let us understand the historical backdrop of this coin. The year was 1944. World War II was raging. Across Europe and the Pacific, the United States was fully immersed in the war effort, and every bit of metal was considered precious. In 1943, the U.S. Mint had produced pennies made from zinc-coated steel instead of copper because copper was needed for ammunition and military equipment. These steel cents became infamous for their tendency to rust and be mistaken for dimes, but they were a patriotic necessity at the time. Fast forward to 1944, and the mint made a return to copper for penny production. However, these were not ordinary copper blanks. Many of the 1944 pennies were actually made using recycled ammunition shell casings collected from the battlefields. This gave the coins a distinctive reddish hue and has added to their historic and collector appeal ever since then. The 1944 wheat penny has become a point of fascination for collectors, especially because of the rare mint errors that occurred that year. Now let us talk about the varieties of the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny. There are 3 main mints that produced these coins: Philadelphia, which had no mint mark; Denver, which carries a small D mint mark; and San Francisco, which carries an S. All of these mints produced pennies using the recycled copper planchets, but the total number of coins minted was huge. Over 1 billion pennies were struck in 1944, making it one of the highest production years ever. But the value of these coins today varies drastically, depending on condition, mint mark, and most importantly error types. Here is where Things get exciting among all the millions of regular 1944 copper pennies. A few slipped through with the wrong metal planchet. A few extremely rare 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from the previous year 1943. These 1944 steel pennies are among the most valuable pennies ever discovered. Only about 30 to 40 are known to exist, and collectors will pay a fortune to own one. In fact, a 1944 steel penny in top condition has sold for over $100,000. At auction. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny selling for over six figures. So how do you know if you have a valuable 1944 penny? First, check the metal. If your penny sticks to a magnet, it could be one of those rare steel versions. Also check for clear, strong strikes with no major damage, because condition plays a huge role in value. A well-preserved 1944 wheat penny, especially one in uncirculated condition, can be worth several dollars even if it is not a rare error coin. The ones minted in San Francisco and Denver can fetch higher prices, especially if they have strong luster and original red color grading as MS or mint state. Another thing to watch for is double dies. These are pennies where the design was struck twice slightly misaligned, resulting in a visible doubling effect on letters or numbers. In 1944 double die penny, especially on the obverse or the front of the coin, can be very valuable. Some of these double dies are worth from $50 to several $100s depending on clarity and grade. There are also minor errors like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks, which may not make the penny worth thousands but can still raise its value significantly among collectors. Every imperfection tells a story, and in the world of coin collecting, stories are what drive prices up. Let us take a look at current market values as of 2025. A regular 1944 copper penny in circulated condition is usually worth between 5 cents and 50 cents, but if you have one in extremely fine condition, it could be worth between $1 and $5. If it is in uncirculated condition or has a strong red luster, you are looking at $10 or more. Some high-grade examples have sold for over $100. Just recently, an MS-67 red 1944 D penny sold for over $300 at a major auction. The 1944 S penny also has collector demand due to the relatively lower mintage compared to Philadelphia coins, and it too can command higher premiums in top grades. But the real stars remain those rare steel pennies and dramatic errors. If you ever come across a 1944 penny, always examine it carefully. You might just have a treasure in your pocket. Many people have unknowingly spent valuable coins simply because they did not know what to look for, and the beauty of coin collecting is that you never know when you will stumble upon something truly rare. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1944 penny? First, do the magnet test. If it sticks, you might have a steel penny. Then check the date and mint mark and examine the coin closely for any doubling or signs of an error. Finally, if you still think your coin is special, consider getting it graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Grading not only authenticates the coin but also helps determine its true market value. Collectors today are willing to pay a premium for rare coins in top condition, and as time goes on, these coins only get harder to find. Whether you inherited a coin collection or found a penny in pocket change, always check the dates and look them up. You might just be holding a piece of history worth more than you ever imagined. In conclusion, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny is not just another old coin. It is a piece of wartime history, a symbol of American resilience, and in some rare cases a truly valuable collector's item. From pennies struck on steel planchets to double dies and beautifully preserved examples, there is a world of excitement packed into this little copper coin. So keep your eyes open and always pay attention to the pennies in your change, because you never know, one of them could be worth a small fortune. Episode: we are diving deep into the world of numismatics to uncover the story and surprising value behind a humble yet iconic American coin, the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny. Stay with me as we break down the historical background, mintage details, varieties, errors, and current market value that could make your old penny worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today. So let's get started with the origins of this fascinating coin. The Lincoln wheat penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a representation of liberty or a mythical character. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features a profile of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse of the coin from 1909 until 1958 showcases two stalks of wheat, which is how it earned the nickname wheat penny. Now let's focus on the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny in particular. The 1956 wheat penny is a late date in the series, being one of the last to feature the wheat reverse before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. It was minted in two locations, Philadelphia which did not include a mint mark, and Denver which included a small d below the date on the obverse of the coin. Here are the mintage numbers. In 1956 the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 420,000 coins. To be precise, over 420 million coins were struck without a mint mark. Meanwhile the Denver Mint added over 1 billion coins to the total production. So yes, there were well over a billion 1956 wheat pennies produced. You might be thinking, with so many coins produced, how could a 1956 penny be worth anything more than 1 cent? That's where the magic of coin collecting comes in. While most 1956 Lincoln wheat pennies are common and worth only face value in worn circulated condition, the value skyrockets for coins in mint state condition or with rare errors. Let's break that down. Mint state coins are those that have never been used in everyday transactions. These coins are carefully preserved from the moment they leave the mint and can range from mint state 60 all the way to a perfect mint state 70. A regular 1956 penny in mint state 63 with strong red color can sell for about $5 to $10. However, a coin graded MS 65 red or higher can bring in $20 or more. Some exceptional pieces have sold at auctions for $50 or even $100, especially when certified by a respected grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now here's where it gets even more exciting: rare varieties and error coins. The 1956 wheat penny has some known die varieties and errors that can drastically increase its value. For example, the 1956 double die obverse is one of the most popular and sought-after varieties. This error occurs during the minting process when the design is accidentally stamped onto the die twice but slightly offset, resulting in a doubling effect on the date and lettering. If you find a genuine 1956 double die obverse penny, it could be worth several $100s depending on its condition. High-grade examples can sell for over $1,000. Other errors that can make your 1956 penny valuable include off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and clipped planchets. Each of these errors varies in rarity and value, but many of them can fetch serious money from collectors. So what should you look for in your pocket change or coin collection? Number 1. Check for a mint mark. The presence or absence of a D under the date tells you whether it was made in Denver or Philadelphia. While neither version is rare on its own, errors and high grades in both types are sought after. Number 2. Check the color and condition. Red coins are the most valuable, followed by red, brown, and brown. The less wear and more original luster the better. Number 3, look closely at the date and lettering for signs of doubling. A clear double die on the obverse can be a jackpot find. Number 4, consider sending promising coins to a professional grading service. While there is a fee, the potential return on a high-grade or rare variety can be well worth the investment. Let's now look at some real-world market values from recent sales and auctions in 2023 and 2024. Several 1956 Lincoln wheat pennies in MS 67 red condition have sold for between $100 and $300. One particularly clean example sold for nearly $600 at auction. Meanwhile, a rare double die obverse example graded MS 65 red sold for over $1,500 in a heritage auction event. So if you have a jar of old pennies lying around or have inherited a coin collection from a relative, now is the time to take a closer look. That small copper coin from 1956 might just be worth more than you ever imagined. To summarize, here are the key takeaways. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny was minted in both Philadelphia and Denver with over 1.5 billion coins produced in total. While common in circulated condition, its value increases in mint state and with rare errors. Look for double dies, repunched mint marks, and coins with strong red coloration for the highest potential value. Certified high-grade coins and error varieties can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars in today's market. Before we wrap up, here are a few tips to preserve your wheat pennies and maximize their value. Always handle your coins by the edges to avoid adding fingerprints. Store them in acid-free holders or certified coin capsules. Avoid cleaning your coins, as that can actually reduce their value significantly. And if you think you found something rare or valuable, consult a reputable coin dealer or grading service for authentication. Thanks for watching and diving deep with us into the fascinating world of the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and hidden treasures. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever found a rare wheat penny? Let us know what coin you want us to explore next. Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we are unlocking the fascinating story of the 1996 P. Roosevelt dime. At first glance, this coin might look like any ordinary pocket change. But hold on tight, because this seemingly simple dime can actually be worth much more than its face value. If you have one of these in your collection or even in your loose change, you'll definitely want to stick around until the end of this video. Let's begin with the background. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. The coin replaced the winged Liberty Head dime, commonly known as the Mercury dime, which had been in circulation since 1916. The Roosevelt design was quickly approved and struck to commemorate Roosevelt's efforts in founding the March of Dimes and his battle with polio. Now fast forward to 1996. This year marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime series. That's right. Half a century since it was first introduced. To commemorate this occasion, the United States Mint released a special edition Roosevelt dime that same year with a W Mint mark from the West Point Mint. It was available only in special uncirculated mint sets, not for general circulation. That 1996 W dime is worth good money today, but this video focuses on the more commonly found 1996 P dime, minted in Philadelphia. So, what's so special about the 1996 P Roosevelt dime? First, it had a massive mintage. Over 1.4 billion Roosevelt dimes were struck with the Philadelphia Mint mark that year. So, in general, this coin is quite common. Most 1996 P dimes you come across are only worth face value if they're worn and circulated. However, as with all coins, condition, mint errors, and other unique factors can make a huge difference. Now let's talk about value. If your 1996 P dime is in average circulated condition, meaning it shows signs of wear from being used in everyday transactions, then it's worth about 10 cents. However, if you have one in uncirculated condition, especially in mint state 65 or higher, it can be worth more. Coins graded MS-65 can sell for between $1 and $3. But that's just the beginning. Some pristine examples graded MS-67 or better by a reputable grading company like PCGS or NGC have sold for over $50. In extremely rare cases, a perfectly struck 1996 P Roosevelt dime graded MS-68 with full bands on the torch can bring upwards of $200 or more at auction. The term full bands refers to the sharply struck horizontal lines on the torch on the reverse of the coin. It indicates a very well-struck coin with full detail. These are rarer and more desirable to collectors. If your dime shows these full bands, and it is in high mint state condition, then you may have something truly valuable. Let's now turn our attention to mint errors. Coin collectors love errors, and some error coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For the 1996 P Roosevelt dime, certain errors and varieties can significantly increase its value. One of the most sought-after types of errors is the off-center strike, where the design is not properly aligned. Depending on how off-center the strike is, and how much of the date and design is visible, this error can fetch anywhere from $20 to over $100. Another interesting error is the double die variety. While no major double die varieties have been widely documented for the 1996 P dime, minor doubling on the date, lettering, or torch details could still exist and fetch premiums if verified by an expert. Then there are clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mishap during the blank cutting process. These errors are rare and can sell for anywhere from $20 to $200 depending on severity and demand. Some coins also exhibit die cracks or cut breaks. These are flaws that occur during the minting process and can be visually striking. While these types of errors are more common, dramatic examples can still add $10 to $50 to the value of a coin, and let's not forget coins struck on the wrong planchet. If a 1996 dime was accidentally struck on a penny or foreign coin blank, its value could jump to several $100s. These are extremely rare and should always be authenticated by a reputable grading service. So, to recap, a 1996 P Roosevelt dime in average condition is worth just 10 cents. But if it is uncirculated with a high mint state grade, especially with full bands, it can be worth $20 to over $200. And if your coin has an unusual mint error, then it could be worth even more. Now let's talk about the current market value. As of 2025, high-grade examples of the 1996 P. Roosevelt dime still attract strong demand among collectors. Auction records show MS-68 full bands examples fetching between $100 and $250 depending on eye appeal and grading company. Even MS-67 full bands coins often go for $40 to $80. Ungraded examples pulled from mint sets or rolls can still be found on sites like eBay for a few bucks, but buyers are increasingly picky about quality. If you think you have a high-grade coin, it may be worth sending it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. A small investment now could yield big returns if your coin grades high, and here's a quick tip. Always check your dimes using a magnifying glass or coin loop. Look closely at the bands on the torch. Check for doubling in the letters and numbers. Inspect for any off-center striking or odd features. You never know when you might stumble upon a valuable error coin hiding in plain sight. So, what should you do if you have a 1996 P. Roosevelt dime that looks promising? First, determine its condition. Compare it to online images of graded coins. Look for wear, luster, and sharpness of detail. If it appears to be in top shape, consider sending it to be graded. If it has a clear error, get it authenticated. And if you're not sure, you can always consult a local coin dealer or online coin community for a second opinion. To sum it up, while most 1996 P. Roosevelt dimes are common and only worth face value, some rare examples in top condition or with mint errors can be worth significantly more. Keep an eye out. Because that 10-cent piece in your hand might just be a hidden treasure. We dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, collectibles, and hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change right now. Today, we're focusing on a small coin with big potential, the 2007 P. Roosevelt dime. That's right. That little 10-cent piece minted in Philadelphia back in 2007 might be worth more than you think. So stay tuned because in this video, we're going to explore the history of the Roosevelt dime, why the 2007 P version matters, what makes certain coins valuable, and how much this dime could be worth today on the collector's market. So let's get started with a quick background on the Roosevelt dime itself. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, the year after President Franklin D. Roosevelt passed away. He had led the country through the Great Depression and most of World War II, and his leadership earned him a place on this everyday coin. It replaced the Mercury dime, which had been in use since 1916. The choice of Roosevelt wasn't just about honoring a president. He was also instrumental in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio, which Roosevelt himself had battled for much of his life. It was a fitting tribute and has remained unchanged in general appearance for decades. Now fast forward to the year 2007. That year, the United States Mint in Philadelphia struck over 1 billion Roosevelt dimes. Specifically, 1.5 billion. That's right, billion with a B. And when a coin has that kind of mintage number, you'd think it wouldn't be worth more than face value. But as collectors know, sometimes it's not about how many were made, it's about the details. Let's talk about the 2007 P. Roosevelt dime. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, by the way, and why this common-looking coin could potentially be worth a lot of money. First, you need to understand that not all 2007 P dimes are created equal. Most are worth just 10 cents. But a small number have either mint errors, exceptional quality, or special designations that can send their value sky high. That's where the money is. Let's break it down. The majority of 2007 P. Roosevelt dimes in circulation are made of a copper-nickel clad composition, that's a copper core sandwiched between two outer layers of nickel. They're standard issue coins used in everyday transactions. But then you have coins that were either struck incorrectly or struck in extremely high quality for collectors. These are the coins we're most interested in. Some collectors look for coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. These services evaluate the condition of a coin and assign it a number from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin, showing no signs of wear even under magnification. If you have a 2007 P. Roosevelt dime graded MS-67 or higher, that's mint state 67 or better, it can command a premium. Even more so if it's graded MS-68 or MS-69, which are very rare. In fact, the record sale for a 2007 P. Roosevelt dime in MS-68 condition was over $400. That's right, a dime that could be sitting in a drawer somewhere ended up selling for hundreds of dollars simply because of its condition. Not a bad return for 10 cents. Now let's talk about error coins. This is where things can get really exciting. Errors can include things like off-center strikes, where the coin design isn't properly aligned. There are also die cracks, which show up as raised lines on the coin where the metal leaked into a crack in the die. Another possibility is a double strike, when the coin is struck twice instead of once, leading to overlapping images. And then there's the holy grail of modern dime errors: coins struck on the wrong planchet. That means a dime was struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a penny or a nickel. Those are extremely rare and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the coin. If you find a 2007 P. Roosevelt dime with a major error like this, you could be holding a coin worth serious money. It's important to note that not all errors are valuable, though. Minor scratches, post-mint damage, or machine doubling often do not add value. That's why professional grading is so important. It separates the gems from the junk. So what should you look for in your pocket change? Look for sharp, strong details, especially on Roosevelt's hair and the torch on the reverse. The more luster and the fewer marks, the better. If the coin looks unusually well struck or shows something odd, like doubling or an unusual color, you might want to set it aside. It could be worth having a professional take a closer look. Now let's talk current market value. As of right now, in mid-2025, a circulated 2007 P. Roosevelt dime is still worth face value, 10 cents. But uncirculated examples, especially in high grades, can sell for between $1 and $5 on average. If you have a coin graded MS-67, you might fetch $15 to $30. An MS-68 example might be worth over $100. And if you're lucky enough to have a rare mint error or a perfect specimen, the value could be several $100s or more. On auction sites like eBay, these coins show up regularly, and prices can vary wildly depending on the condition, presentation, and demand. Always compare listings, check sold prices, and pay close attention to the grading. Now you might be wondering, should I send my 2007 P dime in for grading? It depends. If the coin is obviously in amazing condition, with a flawless surface and beautiful luster, it might be worth it. Grading usually costs between $20 and $50, depending on the service and speed. So you'd need the coin to be worth significantly more than that to make it worthwhile. To wrap things up, the 2007 P. Roosevelt dime is a common coin that can occasionally be worth a surprising amount of money, especially if it's in pristine condition or has a mint error. While most are only worth 10 cents, the small chance that you might have a rare gem in your collection makes it worth checking every dime that passes through your hands. So next time you get change back at the store, don't just toss it in a jar. Take a second to look closely. You never know, you might just find a tiny treasure hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin videos, and ring the bell so you never miss a rare coin alert. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a valuable dime or have questions about coin collecting. Until next time, happy hunting and keep checking your change.